It was a long movie.
It was a long movie.
There were definitely parts where I'm like, can we just get to the dance?
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
we just get to the tango,
Exactly.
please?
And we'll keep this as spoiler free as we can.
Yeah.
I am not Jewish, but I have yeah, could you tell? I have I had a stepmother, and then she passed away. Then I have another stepmother. They're both Jewish. So I have been introduced to the Jewish faith over the last 2 decades. And so I got to see it from a vantage point, and there's multiple faiths involved in this too. So it's kind of it was actually enjoyable from that sense. Like I really enjoyed watching it from that standpoint.
The sort of comparison.
Yeah. Yeah. And the fact that you got to go, and we'll talk about that a little bit, but I wanted to get your first take on the film, because this is always, I love to hear what my guest thinks about a film.
Honestly, I found it entertaining.
Yeah.
I did find it entertaining. Although in all honesty, it was so heavily stereotypical in the way that it showed Jews that like it almost felt like some like really anti-Semitic person made that movie and was like, check out these fucking Jews. Like it was so like specific, like the way they all, the communicated, dressed, look, it was just so interesting. But I did find it, I found it entertaining. I watched the whole thing. Which is, I lose interest easily. But I did watch the whole thing. I thought it was really entertaining. I definitely thought some of the acting was okay. And then I realized that many of the actors were also people involved in the production, which makes sense. It's kind of a passion project, I imagine. So yeah, I mean, it was interesting. It definitely moved a little slow. I think they probably could have cut like half an hour off of it.
Yeah, there was some character development that may or may not have been needed. But.
Probably. And like it was so funny, like when they were injecting urgency, where it's like, I need to have a perfect wedding and I need to make money for the 4 children. And then the way he looks at that little donation bucket, there's like $3 in there, and it was so like a classic movie arc. It looked like someone read Save the Cat and then wrote a movie immediately after reading that book.
Yeah.
But again, this is the thing that when I was messaging you about indie films, I was like, there's a je ne sais quoi in indie films that you just can't get anywhere else. And a lot of that comes from all of those little things that like make it look like not a big budget film.
Yes.
It's like some of the shots I'm like, wow, that is not a great shot, or like, oh, wow, that was not colored very well, or that transition was weird, all of these different things. But there's something really charming about that.
Mm-hmm. I do agree. And I actually really enjoyed the film too.
Yeah.
I do agree with the timeliness of it. The duration was a little bit long. And they could have gotten to like, again, I was to the point, like, where's the dancing?
Give me the dance.
It's called Tango Shalom for a reason.
Right.
I want to hear I want to see the dancing. It did have some nuances of the Jewish faith and
the Christian faith and the Muslim faith. It was really interesting, like the way that he like workshopped around the idea and stuff. And it was, it was.
Yeah, I mean, my question for that is, kind of what stood out to you about the different faiths, and were they represented well, and did the interaction of those faiths, kind of go well with the story?
Yeah, I mean, I will say some of it felt like interestingly heavy-handed in certain ways, like that scene where he sees the pastor come out and he like helps the homeless man or whatever, and to me, and that was
he's like, right. You gave him food.
Well, and it was right after a scene where like the other Orthodox Jews were really rude to him about, they were really judgy. So I was like, what are they saying here? Like, check out how beautiful Christianity is as opposed to all these judgmental Jewish guys. But I did appreciate that the overall message was, you have to find your own way. You have to decide. The message of the film was, what are your values and how can you do what you want to do and stick to your values at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I did appreciate the interaction of it, although I think they probably could have had maybe like a little bit more of that. And then when that at the very end of the film, where like the imam guy comes back with which I thought was kind of it felt like a bit of a shoehorn bow tie at the end. Like it was almost like, it didn't add enough where it warranted him coming back,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah. Just let him have his moment from the beginning.
Yeah, and that was
Remember him.
fine. And then I realized that the guy who played the priest was the director of the film and one of the writers.
Okay.
And the main character, which by the way, did not expect his voice to be what it was. It was like kind of high. It was like a little high pitch, Moisha.
a little bit, yeah.
And also the names.
Moisha.
Oh my god.
Moisha.
It's Moisha, Esther, and it was literally like
Yeah, I mean,
the most stereotypical way of. That was so interesting.
we had, the director was Gabriel Bologna. Then we had Moisha Yehuda,
Right.
the Yehuda family. So Moisha Yehuda and Raquel Yehuda,
That's
and then
the two. Yeah.
the husband and wife.
Yeah.
Then you have Lainey Kazan, who played Leah Slotkin, who I loved in this.
Was she was the mom of the wife, right?
Mom of the potential sister or daughter-in-law. Yeah.
Also,
And then-
did you catch that? Like, I felt like all of the women in that movie were like way hotter than their husbands in every aspect. Like, there's no in what world is Raquel and Moisha the same age?
like they
She definitely seemed-
outkick their coverage.
Yeah, she definitely seemed like really like younger and
Yes.
more attractive than
Yes.
him,
And,
right?
well, even the Slotkin daughter.
Oh my God, the brother
The
and-
brother was like 20 years old. Like, I know he's older, but he's good in finance, and just like so.
Yeah, oh my
another
God.
stereotypical moment. Just like, oh gosh.
Oh god.
But I actually know if I think back to like is it Hulu or Peacock, they have the Mrs.
Mrs. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Mrs. Maisel. Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say Drazel, and I was like, that's not right.
Yeah.
Sounds too much like Dreidel. Mrs. Maisel.
Marvelous Mrs.
Marvelous
Dreidel. That sounds like a Jewish toy, like Mr. Potato Head.
But I would say that the mom is like
hotter than
the dad.
Oh,
So
no. I think
it
that
goes.
Tony Shalhoub is a sex god. I love Tony Shalhoub.
He's hilarious.
From Monk.
Ooh, yes.
He
Yes.
is a brilliant, and he's
Yes.
from Wisconsin, I think.
Is he?
He's a
Okay.
Midwestern guy. Yeah. It is my dream to meet him and work with him. I would love to work with Tony Shalhoub. I think he's brilliant.
Yeah.
So yes, the mom is hotter than Tony Shalhoub, but Tony Shalhoub, he has so much to give.
He's got a lot of confidence. Last two characters, just to announce them, but like Renee Taylor played Deborah Yehuda, was the mother.
The crying woman.
the crying
She was great.
the bubby.
The bubby.
Yeah. And Karina Smirnoff,
Oh, she was the hot girl.
Viviana Nieves.
Is she Russian? Smirnov's pretty Russian name.
It sounds like it. I mean, Smirnoff is pretty.
I was
Russian.
surprised when they were like, okay, but also perfect example. They showed her, she's like this gorgeous dancer, right? And you're like, wow, she's very hot, right? And then all of a sudden you realize she's got a kid that was like 7 or something. And you're like, well, I didn't expect that. And then you see her ex,
Yeah.
so ugly. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. I hope
Who is this casting director?
It's just so because she's like this beautiful woman, and then again, this guy that played her like the guy that and it was so funny when she answers the phone. How could you do this to me right before the
I
dance?
mean, let's just call it what it is. She was the best actress in the whole film. No,
she was great.
Were there any supporting characters? And I have an answer for this myself already, but what supporting characters stood out to you?
Oh man, good question. I would say I liked that the shop owner that Moisha came to ask for a job, and he was like,
Yeah.
for you, anything.
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
his
yeah.
wife is like, not for
No.
him, not for anything. We have kids, and he's
got
like,
4 kids. Like,
sorry.
what about our 6 kids? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I thought he was great.
He was good. Very nice. My first answer, the mothers.
The mothers were great.
They're supporting actors.
They were- yeah, they were probably-
their
they were-
dynamic together is so good.
I mean, the movie was like almost about them.
It's true.
You know who the Menachem, the main rabbi that he kept approaching for asking for advice.
Yeah.
Man, that guy talks slow.
He did.
Such a rabbi move. Let me explain to you what
Almost like he's a
you
vampire.
might want to do? And I'm like, oh my God, this scene could be much shorter.
Like, no wonder you were asking other faiths for answers. They were getting him quicker answers for you. The guy was still talking.
Yeah, and that Imam guy was so young.
Yeah, he was. Let's talk about the tango. Do you think it was like a plot device, or did you think it symbolized something deeper?
No, I think Jews love to dance. It's a big part of the culture. Like dancing and singing is a big part of Judaism. And the men dance all the, like, it's not like a weird thing. Like the men will always dance, and it's very like leg step driven. So it's like a lot of stepping. Like with the horror when he showed her off.
He's like, oh, I can do the horror. And of course they had like I have a perfect track lined up ready to go.
Couple taps of the fingers. Yeah. And it's like a dubstep version.
Oh, quick. I had that on Spotify.
Yeah, exactly. I love the horror. I listen to it when I drive, but I felt like it actually made sense. I mean, it did feel a little bit like, like it did feel like, pushing two completely different worlds together, all of that stuff. But I do think it worked, and it made sense in the world of Judaism. The men dance, and he could have been a great dancer, and he had this light side to him, and she just needed him at the perfect time. I will say, I can't talk about this because it's a big spoiler, but the ending, I was like, that's an odd choice, but okay.
Yeah.
Odd.
That's fair. It kind of had this old charm to it.
Yeah.
The film. And I don't know if it played for it or against it, because it kind of had like this, I don't say it in a bad way, but it's like a TV movie-esque feel to it.
Yeah, it was. I think it was the way that it was colored and the frame rate. Yeah. It was shot. I think it was shot in not a film frame rate. It was shot like reality TV.
And that makes me think and I didn't get deep enough into the research to wonder if this was like a COVID film or not, because it was 2021 when it was released. So maybe it was a COVID film. I don't know.
There's a lot of people in there, and they, I don't know.
People needed work, whatever. They were going to the friend at the
there was
store.
the synagogue scene,
and
my girlfriend was like, "Do you think those are all extras?" I'm like, "No, they just went into a synagogue and shot for a little bit." Yeah,
hey guys, you mind if we hang out here for a little bit?
This is indie filmmaking. There was maybe.
By the way, can you sign this waiver so say we can use your face? Perfect.
There was maybe two. What is it like when you want to shoot on a certain location? You have to get the license. What is it called? When you want to shoot someone, you have to go to the city and get like a permit. Yeah. There was maybe a permit for all of those locations. Yes. They were like, okay, this is good, because that's so indie, right? Run and gun. Let's just if no one stops you, I got my footage. I'm good.
Yeah. I'll give you last thoughts on the film. Give you the last thought on it.
Truly, it's such a perfect example of how it doesn't have to be perfect to be entertaining. There was a lot of parts of that movie that I was like, that's corny. That line was weird. The kid actors were okay at best.
Yeah.
It was like, there was a lot of parts of it that I was like, wow, this is very indie, but it was still entertaining. And when I looked it up on IMDb and saw all the awards it won, I get it, because a lot of times those awards are given for effort, for storytelling effort. And the storytelling effort was there. It was captivating. I watched the full 2 hours. Mm-hmm. I didn't fast forward any of it. I was there for the whole thing. So hurrah, I appreciate that. I appreciate when you watch something and you go, oh yeah, it really is about the unexplainable magic of story that supersedes all quality control.
Absolutely. Thanks for spending your time with us today on the More For Me and You podcast. If you've made it to the end, we appreciate you. Now, go do us a quick favor. Please like, comment, and share this episode. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode with the incredible guests we have coming up. You can also follow us at Momi2 Podcast on Instagram and on TikTok. Oh, and for your next movie night, check out the Momi2 app. It's free and packed with amazing movies and shows you've probably never seen. Until next time, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you in the pod.